I don't know if you can see that, but this is how much in 1 month I made incorporating AI into my business through a fat rev share deal and a bunch of setup fees with one person running the entire back end of 4 different businesses simultaneously. This is going to be a super saucy video. So, but just being super honest about how that's actually possible. I feel when you guys hear a big number like that, you guys think it's some big team or some super crazy advanced systems that we have in place, or I'm working long hours or whatever it is. Or that I'm just some kind of exception. None of that is true. The reason why one operator like myself or you can run 4 clients at a high level and not burn out and actually produce results with a fat rev share is with AI. And I'm not talking about having basic ChatGPT prompts or asking it to write you some bullshit email and just hoping for the best. I'm talking about actually using it for growth operating, like being trained on the client's voice, their offer, their audience, their objections. So nothing ever starts from scratch and the quality never drops. So this is just a simple video where I'm going to be walking you through exactly how I use AI to operate multiple coaching businesses at one time, produce results for each one of them, and scale without ever becoming the bottleneck. So let's go over a little bit about why. The majority of growth operators will hit a wall at one time. So here's the thing that's causing most growth operators to hit a wall. Most growth operators who plateau at 1 or 2 clients have the same problem, and that is they are the system. They have every deliverable running through them manually, like starting every email from a blank page with no idea. It's draining. It takes too much mental consumption. Every time they open a new client session, they spend 20 minutes rereading materials, relearning the offer, refamiliarizing themselves with the avatar before they can write a single word that's even usable, which is not a capacity problem, but it will kill your ability to scale no matter how good you are at the actual work. And I was stressed the fuck out about this back when I was doing what you're now not supposed to be doing with AI. It was just too much work and everything was all over the place. And just to put things in perspective, think about what running 4 clients without systems actually looks like. You have 4 different offers, 4 different voices, 4 different audiences, and 4 different sets of objections. If you're doing all of that from memory and manual output every single day, you're not an operator anymore. You're just a freelancer who signed too many clients on and has no freedom. So once again, as someone who's going to be able to scale, someone who's doing consistent 5-figure, mid 5-figure months, you're not going to be the smarter one or the more talented one, but rather you want to make sure you build yourself a system that removes how much mental energy you can use on a topic as the bottleneck. And so simply put, we just use AI, but most people in this space are using it completely. So what the wrong way actually looks like is, let's say you open ChatGPT, you type something like, write me a nurture email for a trading coach, right? And copy whatever comes out. It's generic. It's going to say something like blah, blah, blah. It's like regurgitated fluff, you know, like at the end of the sentence, it'll be like no fluff, no theory. You know, when you read something and you can just tell like, oh, ChatGPT wrote this. It's a common like structure of writing where they'll say, it's not this, but it's rather this. You don't have a systems problem. You have a this problem. You know, like it's like copy has become so boring now. And as someone who's working with all these clients, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to sound like ChatGPT. And so let's say you're scripting out content for your clients or for whatever it is. If it doesn't sound like it was written by them and it doesn't flow with their natural speech, that's going to end up losing money. It's not going to work out. So the best thing to do is to set up AI so that it works in your favor. And like I was saying, people say AI doesn't work for copy. It's not AI's fault. You just don't know how to properly use it and give it enough context where it actually puts out some good copy. And so if you give it 0 context, no offer details, no client voice, no avatar, no objections, it produces a watered down generic version of what you asked for, which sounds like every other email and every other inbox. And so the people who are using AI correctly in this business, they're not asking it to write it from nothing, but they're feeding it everything they can about their client and all of the information about their business, like their client's voice, their offer, their avatar's exact language, their objections, their proof, their positioning. All of this is what's going to be able to build AI's persona for that client, which is the difference between copy that gets deleted and copy that books calls. And by the way, if you don't know what copy is, it's basically just written word. So let's go over how I set up AI for every client I bring on gets their own dedicated AI project set up within the first 48 hours, which is a non-negotiable. It is the first thing that gets built before anything else gets touched. As soon as I sign on a client, I create a dedicated Claude project. I used to use ChatGPT, but the majority of work I do now is in Claude. To create a dedicated Claude project named after them and their business, something like client name dash growth operations or whatever it is. That project becomes the brain for everything I produce for that client for that entire engagement. I'll also pull up Claude in a minute to show you what that looks like. And so for the projects in Claude, you have room to import a bunch of context files, whether that'll be SOPs or whatever it is, that'll actually give Claude context on what it is you're actually asking them to do. So inside that project, I upload these core files. Number 1 is their voice memo, which is a raw recording of them explaining their offer in their own words. Now, so how I have that set up is it's all in the onboarding document. So after they sign the contract, they go through the document and I send them a questionnaire with several questions, just all the questions that I need to understand understand everything that they're doing, and I have them record a voice message. After they record a voice message, they send it to me. I get that transcribed as a text document, and I paste that into Claude. Number 2 is going to be their offer breakdown, pricing, deliverables, the transformation process. It's always about what makes the offer different. Come on, like why would somebody buy your offer? Number 3, their avatar document, who their audience is, where they are right now, where they want to be, the exact language they use to describe their problem. Number 4 is going to be any existing copy that they have, whether that's past emails, VSL scripts, sales pages, content scripts, all of that. Even if it's terrible, you want to make sure that you have that all imported so you can actually show AI what's not working and have them analyze what could be better. Real quick though, maybe the next video or another one soon, I'm going to be going over a more in-depth like copywriting masterclass with AI, because I have this all listed out. It is sort of nuanced. When I write copy, it is damn good copy. I don't use the Claude AI to write all the copy. I use another software with Claude incorporated in it to write the majority of scripts or whatever it is. And number 6 is going to be the results and proof, testimonials, case studies, and numbers that I can reference in the future. So once all of that is inside, I add a master context prompt to the project instructions. This is what's going to be able to train the AI on how to use all of those files. And what it tells it is you are the internal copy strategist for this client's business. Before producing anything, extract and organize everything from these files, the offer, the avatar, the voice, the objections, the proof, and present it as actionable intelligence, not passive data. It's just a bunch of big words, but it works. And so this whole entire setup takes initially 10 to 15 minutes, the one-time thing that you do in the beginning, which saves you so much time. Anyways, let me make this solid because it's only useful if you understand what it looks like putting it into action. Let's take one of my current trading clients that I'm working with. When I first took them on as a client, I came across their page, everything, it was just terrible. There's horrible copy across everything. There was no call booking confirmation emails, no follow-up sequences to nurture leads, dipshit CRM, an offer that wasn't positioned around results, the show-up rates for sales calls were low, close rates for the sales calls were low, I wonder why, and objections were not being handled before anyone ever got on the phone. And so the first thing that I did was get that client fully loaded into the AI system. I put their voice memo in, their offer breakdown in, the avatar document in, all the existing copy, the bad copy, because it showed me how they were already positioned and where the gaps were. And so later on that month, our client was on track to hit over 100K in revenue. And so because I was able to put so much information into AI, it sped up the thinking process, the new offer structure, the copy that we were writing, the content scripts, the automations, because sometimes I asked them how to set stuff up. Literally everything was so much easier to do because inside that project folder, it was another brain. I put so much information into these folders, it literally sounds like our client's brain. It's actually just building another brain, which is how we got the speed and implemented what ended up working to ultimately getting them past $100,000 in revenue for the month. Real quick though, I want to talk about the compounding effect of this. The thing I love about this is that it can only get better. Every piece of copy that you produce for a client, every email that converts, every VSL that books equals an extra amount of data. And that data feeds back into the project. Winning angles get added, objections that keep coming up on sales calls get documented and built into future marketing, etc. And content that gets analyzed, or content that works, and the content that doesn't work, the content that gets resonated by the audience, books us more calls and makes us more money, we analyze why it works, and then we just double down on whatever it is. And so after 30 days inside a client's business with the system running, the output quality is significantly higher than day one. It can get pretty philosophical with stuff like this. If we tie this into a big thing in life, it's like finding out who you are. Now you might be like, well, Ashford Sinclair, what are we talking about? This could be a video on its own, right? But actually, like, think about it. It's really important. Everything is about figuring out what it is that you're doing. Like, you have to understand what you're doing with complete detail, who you're talking to, the offer, how much it is, what it's going to solve, how fast can your students achieve the result, what will it be able to do for them, who are you trying to help? You see, like, all of this stuff is super important. And essentially what we're doing here is we're trying to document and put together as much stuff as possible about our client, their offer, their tone, their speech, all of this stuff, so we can have AI go through what will take us hours of reading and all of this stuff and analyzing, and actually help us find more clarity and just get the successful results faster, if that made any sense. Anyways, that compounding effect is what makes revenue share actually make sense long term, because the longer you operate inside a client's business with the system behind you, the better results you get, the more they trust you, and the more the revenue share builds up. And you know for a fact the client who sees the results months after months end up sticking around forever. which is how you make a fuck ton of money. Throwing in a little bonus phase, what does this mean if you're starting out? If you're early in this, maybe you're just building your first client relationship, you're figuring out the business model. The most important thing I can tell you is this: build the structure before you need it. Because you don't want to wait until you're overwhelmed to think about systems. You can sign client 1, handle everything manually, sign client 2, start to drown, sign client 3, and then you completely fall apart on delivery, which is going to cause all of your clients to disappear. Instead, the smarter move is to set up the system on the first client. Upload the files, build the context, get the first client's AI project running properly, and then when client 2 comes, you are not starting a new workflow, but you're replicating one that already works. And this is a big thing about SOPs and having a good client onboarding process. For those of you who don't know what SOPs are, it stands for Standard Operating Procedure. It's just having the things that you do documented on a piece of paper like an instruction manual. Like when you go to IKEA or wherever and you're trying to build a Lego set or whatever, you have to follow the instructions. And once you follow the instructions, you know for a fact that you will be able to get the end result. And so in my business, to make things move faster and to just deal with less headaches, because I want to be out here tanning, sweating bullets off half the day and not have to do any work, just got to make sure that whatever is getting done gets done properly. Which is why with my marketing agency and a few other growth operators out there who are crushing it, you guys know who you are, I have a bunch of documented SOPs with ways that I have everything that you could possibly do with one of these growth operating clients mapped out topic by topic. How to set up their Discord community, how to set up the web community, how to write script writing prompts, how to import everything in Claude, how to do outreach strategies. If this person doesn't respond, what do I say? If this person does respond, but they don't end up booking a call or they don't end up whatever, I have everything mapped out, every single thing mapped out. Which is why my mentees end up being so successful, because whatever problem they could be facing, they have something to refer to and they just know, oh, this guy's not responding. Okay, I'll send this in. Or I got the offer breakdown, but I need to figure out how I can come up with a new angle for the offer because it's just not presentable enough. Bam, I have a document in a software that I made, which goes through all of that and saves you so much time. You'll probably get it done in like 5 minutes. And all of this stuff, I can give it to whoever. Students, mentees, virtual assistants, it doesn't matter who it is. I can give this all away and they'll actually be able to know how to run the business that I'm running because it's all documented. And all of this stuff is just very tip of the iceberg. Like all of the nitty gritty stuff, like setting up the CRM or setting up the Zapier, setting up the Calendly, setting up the Typeform or whatever questionnaire you're using. All of it is written out step by step. And so that's the difference between operators who scale and operators who plateau. It's very simple. Make it make sense. AI is not going to replace good operators. Do not think that at all. It is going to make good operators exponentially more effective. And the ones who build this correctly right now and actually use AI the correct way are going to be the ones who are running the space in the next 2 to 3 years, only because they will be able to deliver at a level that manual operators simply cannot compete with. Like I promise you, anybody out there right now who isn't leveraging AI inside this business or just AI in general, you're going to get left behind. Like we're running laps around you. And so that's one of the real money producing systems behind how me as a one-man operation runs a 5-figure a month growth operating business. I don't have a big team. I don't work 16-hour days. A context heavy AI structure that removes your mental limit so you can operate multiple clients at a level, produce results worth a revenue share. So if you're watching this and you already understand the operator model from the last video that I made, check that out, by the way. It was my first video as well. This is one of the most important parts that actually makes it scalable. So you can take this and build it yourself, go set up the system from your first client and figure out the gaps as you go. It's completely valid. I hope this gives you everything that you need to move. Or you can come work with me directly where I walk you through the full setup and give you access to everything that I personally use in my business, like I mentioned before, all plug and play, and everything else it takes to go from zero to your first growth operating client as soon as possible. The link's in the description if that's you, Life Rewards Action. And either way, like this video if it gave you something real. Subscribe for more. See you guys in the next one.